Welcome back to my channel. My name is Allison if you are new here, and today we are talking about money. I'm going to walk you guys through exactly how my husband and I budget our income, our money coming in, and where we spend it. If you are new to this channel, I am Allison. I already introduced myself. Disregard that. But I am a military wife and my husband Christian is in the Marine Corps. I was a finance major in college, but I am not a financial professional in any sort of way. I really want to make that disclaimer loud and clear. I'm not trying to advise you on how to spend your money or how you should be saving in certain things. I am just sharing my experiences. A lot of you guys have asked for this video from me, and I just want to give what my experience is as a 23-year-old married woman, how we spend our money and how we budget. I'm not trying to say that this is the right way or the only way or the best way. Now that that's out of the way, we can move on to the 6 tips that I have. Is it 5? I have 7 kind of steps or advice or things that I've learned along the way, like 7 bullet points that we're going to cover in this video. So if you're ready to start on the first one, let's dig straight in. So ground zero for starting your budget is deciding what you're even going to use to budget. I know some people probably are fine and dandy not tracking every single purchase. They just pay their credit card statement and like they're fine and willy-nilly. I, however, feel a lot more financial freedom and security and comfort in knowing exactly where every one of my dollars is going. My husband Christian agrees with me on this. So together we decided that we wanted to be tracking all of our spending and income on a budget. Now there's so many ways you can track a budget. You can do super old school, go on Excel, build yourself out a spreadsheet and then update that. You can even do it as a Google Sheet. So it's in the cloud and you or your spouse or your kids or whoever else you're sharing a budget with can be accessing that from anywhere. There's also Etsy shops that sell stickers if you're more like a decorative visual planner, and you can get a hard planner, put those stickers in, and then write in every single expense of yours. My preferred method though is an app. The app that my husband and I use and love to pieces is the Every Dollar Budget by Dave Ramsey. We like his app. It is free. We pay no money. I think you can buy an upgraded version, but I don't find it necessary to do that. We have also tried the Minted app, which neither of us liked that much. We went back to the Dave Ramsey app after we tried that, but those are the only things that I have experience with really. The next thing is to name your income. Step 1 of your budget is to figure out exactly how much money is coming in that you have to spend. So you need to write down what day every paycheck's coming in, how much you anticipate each paycheck to be, and I like to look at my budget 1 month at a time. Right now it's August, so when I start the August budget, I want to build out, okay, I have paycheck 1 coming in, paycheck 2, paycheck 3, paycheck 4, and doing it that way, you can total up all of your income. That way you're not just guessing at how much money you have to spend. You know exactly how much money you have. That way you know exactly how much money you're going to organize within your budget, which is the whole point of the Every Dollar Budget app. Their whole purpose of it is to say every dollar needs a purpose. So you obviously have to figure out how many dollars you have to organize in the beginning of the month. On my channel, I do a lot of cleaning and organization videos, and as much as I love my home to be organized, I need my money to be organized too. So now we have decided how we're budgeting, we have named our income, now we're going to start doing the more exciting part and talking about how you're going to be spending that income. Number 3 is going to be focused on fixed expenses and expenses that you and I probably have in common, because you'll find out that a lot of people spend their money very, very differently, but there's going to be a handful of things that are going to stay the same for most people. And some of those fixed expenses, at least for us personally, that I think we probably have in common. But first we have housing, we have our savings, we have tithing and donating. So those 3 categories do make up the majority of our budget. I think that 60% of our budget goes to just those categories. And the easiest way that I have found to decide how much money we should be spending in each of those categories is based off of a percentage of your income. So I think the general rule of thumb for housing, Dave Ramsey says 25% of your monthly income should be spent on housing. We go a little bit higher. I know maybe the general consensus is 33%, but somewhere between 25-30% is how much of your income should be spent on housing. And personally, we include our Wi-Fi, our electricity, our water bill, rent, or a mortgage payment if you have a house. All of that gets lumped sum to be the total amount that you're spending on housing. So you kind of can reverse engineer how much you should be spending on rent and kind of have a ballpark of what your budget looks like for where you could be living. Moving on to the next category that's biggest in our budget is saving. We aim to put 20% of our income into a savings account, but this saving account is kind of like our future plan. We are saving for a certain goal. Christian plans on going back to school once we're out of the military. We have a very large sum of money that is our goal to be saving. So we put a lot of our money into savings, and whatever we don't use from that safety net is going to be retirement money. And one tip I have for a savings account is to shop around for where you want to save your money. So Christian and I both had just generic bank accounts, and after a little bit of research, we decided it was smartest for us to go find a 3rd bank account, and that would be holding all of the savings that we're keeping and accumulating. That way it's separate from our other finances, and this account had a higher interest rate than our other accounts. So this account specifically was a high yield savings account. I think that's what it's called, something like that. And it just earns a higher percentage back on the money that you're storing there compared to just like the generic banks. So keep your eyes out for that if you're going to have a large savings account that's not invested somewhere. And one more tip for the savings account is that we just have an auto draft set up. So we have a bank account that his income comes into. We have an auto draft set up that automatically takes out that savings and puts it in a separate account. So every single month, we don't even have to try to save. Our bank account just does it for us. And then also the last thing that is a fixed expense for us that we do based off of a percentage is tithing for our church, or donating, whatever you want to call that. We personally believe in giving 10% of everything we make. So that's also a part of this category. Are you guys sticking with me? I promise we are getting through the thick of it. This is probably like the meatiest, most dull part of the video, but hopefully the most insightful for at least how we decide to spend our money. The next part I want to talk about is our variable income. So things that change month to month, and it's not a fixed amount. Our rent is decided for the whole length of our entire lease here, so we can't change that month to month, so we don't need to think about how much we're spending on rent. It's not like we negotiate or like, oh, you know what, this month we're gonna spend a little bit less on rent. We're gonna cut back. You just can't do that. But there's a lot of categories of your budget that you can do that. You have food, clothing, fun money, restaurants, groceries, the list goes on and on and on. And I also like to include in this category our sinking funds. If you are new to sinking funds or you've never heard of it before, don't worry, I was you maybe like a year ago. And a sinking fund, according to everydollar.com, is simply a strategic way to save money by setting aside a little bit each month. So in the EveryDollar budget app, you can set up these funds yourself, and it makes it super, super simple. If you guys just get the app and start playing around with it, you will realize how great it is. And I'm also not sponsored. I should throw that out there. I just really, really enjoy using this app. I have no affiliation with them at all. I don't get any kickback. It's just a free download. But basically with the sinking funds, you can set up different little funds, or like different little piggy banks kind of, and you can decide how much money each month gets automatically put into each of those little lump sums. So some of the sinking funds that we have is our car insurance. So we pay our car insurance twice a year, but rather than just having that like gutting our bank account every 6 months, we save like how much it costs per month into our sinking fund. So say it costs, I don't know, just a round number, $100 a month, but we pay $600 twice a year for our car insurance. Every month we just move $100 to the sinking fund, and then once we hit 600, it's time to pay it out. That sinking fund goes back to zero and we start again. So we do that for our car insurance. Christmas, we put like $50 a month into the sinking fund every single month just to have money to buy gifts or decorations or cookies or whatever we want to do for Christmas. We have a Christmas fund. We have a vacation fund. We have a car repair fund. Whatever works for your life, you can make the sinking funds really, really helpful for you. Now, some of the other categories that are variable, giving you some insight to how we decide to spend our money. I have a whole video about how I save tons and tons of money on our grocery shopping. I will have that video linked up here. I never know which side it's on. It'll be up there if you want to check that out. But a good rule of thumb for grocery spending every month, I heard from Jordan Page that she really recommends doing $100 per person per month, starting at $300. We also set a certain amount for restaurants every month. We normally go between, I don't know, $50 to $150 a month. We also have a miscellaneous category kind of for whatever we feel like buying that month. In this category though, we never make it more than 3 to 5% of our like monthly income. This is a very low percentage of our overall income. This way we're not spending just like crazy amount of money on impulse purchases or things we don't really need. There's so many different ways to build out your budget, so many categories you can build in there. If you love buying clothes or you love buying makeup, you can build in $50 a month to spend on those things. Another thing that I want to mention that I do not have a lot of experience in is debt. We are blessed enough to not have to be dealing with debt, but I know that Dave Ramsey is the debt expert. If you are in debt, if you have a car payment, credit card debt, if you feel overwhelmed by your finances, go there. He is like a real financial guru advisor. He will give you advice, and I'm sure if you just Google whatever financial situation you're in and add Dave Ramsey, there is either a podcast or a blog post written about what he advises someone in your situation to do. So highly recommend Dave Ramsey. I don't have enough experience with debt to talk about it at all, but I would also build that in as a category that you can be paying things off in like the variable part of your budget. Okay, I am done with the numbers and the boring part and like the actual building the budget part. So now number 5, you need to make tracking it a habit. So you took all of this time, you did all of the math, you sat down for maybe even 2 hours with your significant other and figured out your budget and how much you're spending on what. It doesn't matter if you don't actually track things. It's not going to save money for you. It's not going to control your spending for you. It is just going to help you track it. So you need to make tracking it and actually putting the information in a habit. Now, the easiest way that I found to do this was to just set a reminder on your phone. You know yourself better than I do. Maybe you need a daily reminder reminder to go in and do it, or maybe you can't be bothered and want to just once a week go in and do it all. I personally go the once a week route. Unless something else comes up, I'll update it on the fly, but I will go in and update the app once a week so we can look and reference it and see where we are in our spending. It is not going to save the money for you. I'm going to say that a million times. It's not going to track your spending for you. You have to put in the work yourself to be able to make this work for you. And I will say it took us probably 3 to 4 months to get the hang of it. We were either way off the mark with how much our variable spending was going to be, or we would think that we would be saving tons and tons of money, but we actually figured out that we needed to have a little more in our pocket to get through the month. So you need to make it a habit to be updating your budget, and you also need to be making it a habit to be on top of your budget and know when you've hit your limit, and then tell yourself that like, okay, my money for eating out this week is done. One thing that's helped us a lot with this is knowing that next month is a new month and it's just 30 days. If you hit your restaurant budget by halfway through the month and you need to be cooking at home for the next 15 days, you kind of need to just give in to that and accept it and make that your lifestyle for the next 15 days. And it's a little bit easier to do that knowing, hey, 15 days, I get more money again. And my very last point is an encouraging one. I know the last one was a little bit harsh, but my number 7 tip is to enjoy the financial freedom that comes with putting in this much work. It is work and effort and time and frustration to sit down and look at how much money you spend, look at how much you're actually making and controlling it, and having the self-discipline to build out the budget that makes it work. Blah, there's a fly. I'm having a serious talk fly. Can we not right now? It takes some serious discipline to build out a budget, to put in the time, to keep up with it. And it can be disheartening because maybe you're not making the income that you want to be, or maybe you're realizing that you really find the joy in spending $200 a month on clothes and it's really hard for you to suddenly stop doing that. But the rewards for having that kind of discipline with your budget is freedom. I can't even express how free we feel financially, and to not be scared to look at how much you owe on your credit card bill, to not have to look at that app in fear or push it off until the next month. There is so much freedom in knowing your budget and making your budget work for you and taking the time and putting in the effort to build out the system. I think budgeting is super important from very early on in life, and your decisions now are going to be affecting your lifestyle later in the future, because when you're saving money now, it's just so you can make your life easier in the future. You're not just saving this money to never again see it. It's not like you're just like burning the cash and putting it away. This saving is either for another goal. It's for a down payment for a house. It's for paying for a graduate degree, or it's for putting into your retirement so you can stop working when you're 60 years old and go buy that beach house that you want. There's so much freedom in having your budget under control and being in control of it rather than having the money control you. So I'm gonna get off my soapbox. I hope that was encouraging, and if you do not currently have a budget, I hope you feel convicted to have one. One very last point I want to make specifically to the girls watching this, even though like 95% of my audience is women. If you are a man watching this, you are more than welcome to be on this video. But I will say that I think there is a stereotype that like the men typically control the finances, or that the man in the relationship is the one paying the bills or paying the credit card or paying the mortgage. And I think that it's fine and dandy if you two have sat down and decided that's how you want to do things. But Belinda Celine here on YouTube, she on her Instagram stories actually made a very good point one day. She was talking about how her and her husband sit down once a month and talk about their financial goals and everything. And even though he is like primarily in charge of what they spend and how they save and invest and all of that, they sit down once a month and they go over how they have a shared document where every single piece of login information for all of their bank accounts, all of their credit cards, anything with their water bill or their electricity or the Wi-Fi, that God forbid anything happened to her husband, she would be able to manage her own bills and step into that role rather than it just being some foreign thing that like your man just takes care of for you, which is again completely fine if you guys decide to manage your money that way. But I think you need to make sure and take the time that you were at least able to access that information too, because God forbid something happens to my husband, if he was in control and I didn't have access to our bank accounts to pay our credit card bill for the month, that kind of fear on top of the stress already would just be astronomical. So I think it's very important that you are on the same page and have maybe a shared document or just somewhere that you know that like all of the information for all of your accounts is located. So if something happens to one of you, the other person isn't left stranded. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, let me know by giving a like and subscribing. If you also have any other tips or advice for your budget or things that work specifically great for you that you want to share with me, please leave it in a comment. I'm sure other people want to know what you have to think too, and I of course would love to add more financial budgeting tips to my repertoire. I love finance, I love money, I love being able to control it, and I love the freedom that it gives me to live a beautiful life with my husband. I feel like I just got like super preachy right there for a second, so I'm gonna sign off now before I see something embarrassing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!